Is it big enough? Think I should add a couple more solid boosters to it? Hey everybody, it's Try Dying to Live here, playing Kerbal Space Program. I am still on my quest to land on Eve, and if possible, return. Now, since I last talked to you, I last did this YouTube excitement, video explosion, rocketry fun. I have done a couple things. One, I have changed the rocket. I've come up with a new version. I call it Eve Big Boom, which is variation on the last rocket you saw. The biggest variation is that I added this little extra layer of, well, Big Boom, could call it, I suppose. These are all solid booster rockets, and so for the first 30 seconds, I'll have no vectoring engines, and so I'm kind of relying on my ship and having lots of struts everywhere, getting it nice and tight and everything. And also on the inside, it's the return of the engines that I keep wanting to use. These things are actually, if you don't need power very quickly, they're great. Man, they just sip power. You can get quite a bit of delta V out of them. You don't get it very quickly, but you get every ounce of fuel will be worthwhile. And there's one last thing that I did do also, which is I tested this. I don't know if you can see this, but these stacks here, down from here, and then this inner thing here, I tested to see if I could actually make it from Earth to Eve with just this stack here, with my thought being if I can make it from, excuse me, Kerbin, from Kerbin to Eve, I can probably make it from Eve to Kerbin, which of course is the return trip. Now the two planets are not quite the same. Eve has a little less gravity, and Kerbin has a little less atmosphere, so I don't know if it's going to work or not. But it's something we're going to have to test and see if it works. And I'm still not quite sure what to expect out of these parachutes. If the parachutes will disappear once it lands, or if the parachutes will stick around and cause huge problems and ultimately ruin the flight. So I'm not sure about that either, but I do know, and I've tested it, that this will go from Kerbin all the way to Eve, and even adjust the orbital plane, have enough fuel to adjust the orbital plane, and still have a little bit left over. So theoretically, if all goes well, I'm not sure how to plan out a return trip. I guess you have to time that out with the planets as well. But theoretically, we could do a return trip. First things first, we got to get out there. I'm going to line up the planets how I want them, and I will see you guys in 1 second. All right, and here we go, taking off, lifting up high. The rocket is currently being lifted only by these bottommost rockets here. It's completely solid boosters right now. We have no vectoring engines, so you can see the rocket starting to lean over. The rocket itself, actually, the SAS, the advanced SAS, has really no control to correct the problems the ship's having right now. You can see down here, the meters are all pegged. They are maxed out. There's nothing it's going to do. It's going to lean over until it runs out of fuel. When it runs out of fuel, we'll hit the next stage, which does have vectoring engines, and hopefully these vectoring engines will smoothly fix things up. But that's sort of the price you pay for using solid booster rockets. So there we go. We switch it out. That got us up to, well, it says 66 now, but it's more like 80. The gauges just can't keep up. It's correcting. Hopefully there's not an overcorrection. When it's running such a high frame rate, everything is just always so extreme. You know, each frame is to an extreme, but it looks like it's correcting okay. We got quite a bit of spin here, but it looks good. No explosions at least. That's pretty good. So now we have all these vectoring engines under here. These vectoring engines are actually doing the work to correct it. We're going to do a lot of spinning. There's nothing really I can do about that. These bottom rockets here are firing. Also, there's an outer layer on top that's firing. All right, so those are done. We're going to stop those. And all these are doing is basically just getting us out of that atmosphere, away from the gravity, away from the atmosphere. Because where the gravity and the atmosphere are, that's where everything is the worst. You get the most drag, you get the most gravity. That's where you have the most trouble. So all these solid boosted rockets, what they're here for is they're just to get this rocket up off the ground, get it going, get us out away from that nasty, habitable planet out into the wonderful cold vacuum of space where things can flow smoothly and be enjoyable. Now we're just running on liquid boosters. Everything is a vectoring engine on this rocket. I like these vectoring engines. With the SAS, it just makes things so much smoother. Now it's still at a pretty high frame rate. Still spinning, but we're going pretty fast. We're going 700 meters per second. I have no idea what our altitude is. Let's see. That looks about 50-ish, 55-ish, whatever. But so we're getting up there, and we got to get that speed up because if you look inside, we talked about this before. These are I call them the Geo Metros of rocket engines. You know what a Geo Metro is? It's a car that basically gets 40 miles to the gallon, way before the Prius. 40 miles to the gallon. Oops, get rid of these guys. Go away. Let's get some. There we go. Let's get our frame rate back. It goes about 40 miles to the gallon, but it goes, has a top speed of about 40 miles an hour. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that's not too far from the truth. All right, go this way. All right, so we're going to lean this guy over. So that got us going pretty good. Stop. There you go, lock that SAS in there. There we go. And that's just going to correct and fix itself, hopefully. We're just kind of getting it right into the kind of the area, the direction towards 90 degrees. We're flying towards 90 degrees, and we've timed our burn because we want to slow down. We want to go slow ourselves down from the speed of the planet. We're going to fly across the sun side of the planet, the bright side of the planet. We launch just before sunrise, and we're going to curve around using that little extra bit of fling of the rotation of the planet. That's why we don't go straight up. That's why we turn to go, is because we're using the planet to its rotation to kind of fling us off. So we get an extra, 100 meters per second of delta V. It's not a lot, but, it kind of helps out a little bit. Right now, you may notice that we've got these outer rockets here and these inner rockets. Basically, all the propulsion you see, almost all the propulsion you see, like maybe 98% of it, let's fix this to 90 degrees, is these outer stacks here. These rockets are burning fast. They're your average sports car versus the Geo Metros. These are very efficient compared to these. We're getting a lot more delta V, but it takes so long to extract that delta V that you can't take off with it. It's just not powerful enough. I hope that makes sense to you. Basically, these are great for taking off, but these are what you want in space. You're going to go farther with them once you're in space. Now, mind you, if you notice, we are not orbiting yet. So we're actually still have to worry about falling back to Earth. And in fact, I need to correct this so we can get our orbit started. There we go. So we're starting to burn a lot more toward the horizon. 90 degrees. There we go. And so our apoapsis is going to be very, very, very important. And we're going to have to pay good attention to that because I'll explain in a second. The other thing I want to explain while these guys are finishing up, because we should be on the last tank. Whoa. Nope, we're gone. They're gone. Okay. Is these engines right here basically took all the fuel from those outer tanks. These engines took hardly any. If you look right here, all right, it's just sipping fuel. Now it's getting a lot more thrust out of that fuel as before, but it doesn't go through it very fast. And so you can see here we're actually adding to our thrust, but it appears that we're slowing down. The reason why we're slowing down is because we're going up. We're going against gravity. Let me fix this here so I can keep track of my attitude. As we're going up, and so that gravity is slowing down. So now we're getting large. If you look at this little line here, it's going to be slowly creeping out. So we are actually going faster. We are actually getting a bigger orbit. Nope, we're actually speeding up now, even though it seems like we're slowing down. Now the thing that we have to watch out for, and this is the key, is we look at our apoapsis. We see this number here, 2 minutes, 34, 33, 32. This is this number here, this t minus whatever, this is the amount of time that if I were to stop the engines, how long it would take for us to get to the apoapsis. Now that apoapsis is important is we want to burn, kind of in this area here. We want to burn on this side of the apoapsis, not on the other side of it, because this is just, you're already fighting a losing battle as you're falling back. So if we get past apoapsis, maybe, around this area, we're really starting to lose. We're falling down. It's going to take us a lot more fuel to recover. So we're looking at this number here, and we're saying, okay, in 2 minutes, if I stop my engines now, we're going to hit apoapsis, and that's the point where this is a failed mission. A little past a failed mission. Okay, we can go ways past it, but once we hit apoapsis, that's sort of like we had better be having a good mission at this time. We should be orbiting by the time we hit apoapsis or just past it. If our orbit looks like it does now, and we're hitting, we're going way past it, and we're just sliding past that, it's no good. So this number here, this countdown, 1 minute 51 seconds, that's important. Now, mind you, it doesn't take a whole second for us to do this. And look and say, wait till it flips. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. So it takes about 2 seconds, a little less than 2 seconds, for us to lose 1 second at a time. And the reason for that is because we're continuing to burn. So we're at 1.5 minutes. So it's getting pretty close. But we're going a little faster. We can see our orbit here is getting so much more tolerable, but it's getting close. We're at 1,400 meters per second. And this number here, we got 28, 27. So let's count it now. 1 Mississippi, 2 Miss. So it's still, it's getting bad. So this is where things get hairy. So hopefully, we'll be able to make it. We won't go past that paraapsis. We go past that paraapsis, we got to do this again. We got to fly a little better. If we get past, or she's not past it, but we get to the point where we're going faster, and this number either stops or starts going up, then we're in a good position, because that means we're gonna be able to make it. Because this has enough fuel to make it. It's just we don't burn it fast enough because we're burning it so efficiently. Meaning we're getting a lot of speed, or adding speed out to it, but we're not doing it very quickly. And you can't think of speed as you think of a car. You need more and more and more and more power on a car to go faster and faster and faster, and you lose efficiency because you're always fighting friction. You have the friction of the air, you have the friction of your tires, you have the friction of your wheels, and the faster you go, the more friction you get, especially the air. The air really is the worst part. So let's look at our number here, 48, 47. So it's taking a little longer to count down, but it's still counting down. So we're getting, it's getting close. It's getting pretty hairy. Excuse me. As we get towards apoapsis there. So it's getting hairy, but it's looking like we might make it. But the reason why it's better to have a more efficient engine in space, a smaller, more efficient that burns slower, but gets the most fuel out of it, or the most energy out of that fuel, is because there's no friction. And so we don't need bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. We need efficienter, more efficient, more efficient, more efficient. Whereas like a race car, it takes them 3 gallons of gas to get around the track once. And so, it doesn't make nearly as much sense. Now we're almost to an orbit, which is really good. But we're also getting really close to apoapsis. Now our speed's getting really close. And at this height, it's getting very close to an orbital speed. So let's see how our numbers are. 28 seconds. Oh, it's going up finally. So with 30 seconds of theoretical time to spare, and I need to correct my attitude. Attitude is the way your ship is facing, by the way. Right down here, I was drifting up here as I fly. I drift up. So I fix my attitude, and so the number is slowly going up, and it's going to continue to go up. And so this is basically going to let us, it's going to mean that this apoapsis is actually going to start spinning around. So we have an orbit now. So this is a successful. It's not successful yet. This phase is successful. Our launch is successful. So now, from now on, all we're doing is we're just trying to get this apoapsis to grow out, so we have this big bubble of an orbit popping out past the moon, past Minmus, continuing on, and hopefully in a nice, safe orbit. There we go. So we're taking off. There's our apoapsis, and you can see here we took off over here, and so our orbit is going to kind of look like this. So we're just kind of slinging around the planet here. We're using that rotation of the planet. The planet's rotating this way, and so we were already going this way. So we're just like, hey, we'll just take that extra little bit of speed. So we head off this way, slightly more efficient. It doesn't give you a ton of extra speed, but it gives you enough extra speed that it's worthwhile. It's easier to take off towards 90 degrees than it is to take off straight up. Why you'd want to take off straight up, I don't know. That's crazy talk. That's crazy talk. My throat's getting dry. All this exciting talk about apoapsises and orbiting and that less than 30 seconds away to apoapsis, and we just barely made it out. Oop, gotta fix my attitude. Whew. That's wild. That's wild. All right, so we're just gonna build up some speed here. It's gonna take a little while because we're going slow. So I'm gonna pause the video just to save you a couple minutes of your life, and I'll be right back. All right, it took a few minutes, but we got our apoapsis as far out as the moon here, and you can see we can actually do a flyby. And if we had just happened to align this just perfectly, we could actually use this to propel us. However, there's a slight issue with this that plan. As you can see here, we want our apoapsis to actually fling us out this way, but as we go, our apoapsis would actually fling us out this way, which would actually enlarge our orbit. Now this would actually be a really great thing to do, because this would this flyby here. This is actually not a flyby. We're too far past a flyby. This is actually an intercept. But if this were a flyby, this would actually provide us a ton of extra little to go. But unfortunately, that's a scientific term, by the way. That's a term. All right, look it up, Wikipedia, whatever. But unfortunately, it's going the wrong way, so we have to fly on by. Yeah, it's not going to work for us, so sorry. We're not going past the moon this time. And so we'll continue on. And it took us several minutes to get to... Oh, let's fix that orbit. It took us several minutes to get to the moon, but to get past Minmus, it took just a few seconds, and then to go from Minmus to an escape trajectory, or escape orbit, I should say, is almost instant. And you can see we're flinging ourselves off the right way, the way we want to go, which is good. So that's actually, just by taking off from the planet, we're actually slowing ourselves down. And you can see here as we zoom out, our paraapsis is farther in significantly, just by that little bit is farther in significantly, giving us a huge head start. Just by the time we launch, the direction we change, we get ourselves, almost halfway there just by our escape velocity. And so that's pretty exciting. So we'll continue that on, and it's not going to take much to bring that in. And I'm a little farther ahead than I mean to be, so I'm going to stop this paraapsis sooner than I might normally. Let's stop it there. All right, there we go. Let me look at some calculations real fast, and I'll be back. And well, it'll be almost instant to you, but it'll be a second for two. Blah blah blah. A second or two for me. Ta-da! I'm back. I was just checking, looking at the orbital plane, just kind of examining it. Sometimes it takes a little while to figure it out. Basically, my orbital plane change needs to take place way back here. Actually back here, or almost all the way to my paraapsis, which is all the way in here. So that's going to make things a little difficult. I like it, sooner. If I could have done a orbital plane change, right in here, I'd be so happy right now. But alas, I am not, so don't get to be very happy. So let me actually escape. Whoops. Let me escape the planet here. Finish off my escape trajectory. All right, so now I'm actually traveling faster than Well, I'm traveling slower, but it's going to take me less time to orbit. And so I'm going to wait a second or two, and Eve's going to catch up to me. A little bit more. There we go. That's good. All right, so hopefully that fixes my error. Just looking at things. It's so hard. I can't wait till point 18 comes out and I don't have to do all this math anymore. And by math, I mean just kind of looking at it and going, that looks pretty good. It's like throwing a needle at a bullet, and they're both orbiting. I don't know the analogy. It's hard. Okay, it's like, but it literally is like hitting a needle with a bullet. It's so unbelievably precise with such crude things. You know, it's like taking a needle, or a BB, I should say, taking a BB, putting it in a slingshot, and flinging it at a bullet. It's like, and the bullet's flying through the air. If you didn't catch that, it's not just like sitting on the table. It's ridiculous. It's like it'd be hard enough to hit if everything wasn't moving ridiculously fast. All right. Oh, and I'm doing that wrong. Why didn't you tell me I was doing that wrong? I was pointed toward apoapsis. I need to turn towards, not apoapsis. I need to do a forward burn, a reverse burn, and not a forward burn. Why didn't you tell me? I just wasted a whole, 10 seconds of fuel. So, yeah. My ship is kind of long. I could use some RCS right now. Let's see here. We are at about a tank and a half left. And by a tank, I mean this section right here and this one here. So we've got quite a bit of fuel that we've used. However, remember what we've done with that is we achieved orbit, we achieved escape, we did our close to our intercepts area. So we've done a lot with that little bit. With the amount of fuel that we use, we've done a lot of moving, and we've moved a rather large piece. So we've got a lot of fuel to work with still, but we can't just go willy-nilly and crazy. So this is going to be figures that we're going to have to look at, because we've got to make sure that we are good stewards of the fuel which we are given, because otherwise we're gonna be short. We're gonna be short. All right, so we do that. Stop for a second here. All right, make sure that I don't want to overshoot. All right, so that number is coming down. Come on, 270. Stop for a second here. I just don't want to overshoot. Come on. And I want to be moderately accurate. I don't have to be totally accurate, but moderately accurate would be nice. I'm also looking at the keyboard or the screen intently, see any flickers. We probably won't, because we're not in the right orbital plane, but if we see any flickers, that means we're going to have an intercept, and that's going to be great. That will be great. We probably won't see any, but if we do, we will. We're aiming for just over 9.5. 9.53 is fine. So that's it. And then we're going to look, and we're going to kind of see how this works out. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get ready for our orbital plane change maneuvers. So we're looking between where we're at and this purple line here. And the way you do an orbital plane change maneuver is you want to get where they cross, where they intersect. And the way you can tell when you're crossing and intersecting is because you'll see, how my blue line here, which is my orbit, how you can't see each line because they're sitting on right top of each other. Well, you just wait until they're both of them are like that, and that's how you know that you are, in a situation. So slow down. Let's see how we look. And this is a little tedious. So oops, stop. So if it's driving you crazy, just live with it. But right now we're pretty far out of, we're not anywhere near, and it looks like, I don't know. You just can't ever tell. It's just, if you're sitting at your computer thinking I'll never make it, it's like You just throw it over and over again. You just keep doing it until you get it. So we'll keep doing this till we get it. Oh, need to spin this around here. Alright, turn that up. Make sure that's in line. I need to like be able to see. I need to change my camera mode right now. Can I change the camera mode in this view? C, camera mode. No. V, no. Oh well. So we're gonna have to come around, keep coming around a little bit more. Alright. Let's see here. How are we doing? Are we faster than it? 10, 8, 10, 9. It's actually faster than us and ahead of us. So the way to fix this is actually to do the opposite of what you might think you should do, which is to slow down. And then try to hit it, try to pass it on the inside, essentially. Yeah, let's try that. Oops, come on. Let's do some rotating. Come on, rocket. So RCS, that's pretty nice. Yeah, RCS is nice. Come on. Take a drink of my tea. Is it Earl Grey, you ask? It is not Earl Grey. It is, it's actually imitation tea. It's like Kool-Aid that's tea flavored. So literally you put a packet in and it's like lemon. I think it's lemon flavored. I don't know. I'm going to give it a little acceleration just to help this along. I hate to give it a little bit of acceleration because I know that's changing my orbit. And I want to be fairly precise, but I can't wait all day. Alright, get that around here. Stop. Walk, I should say. Alright, so that's going to bring that in. So that means we're going to pass it twice, but we're going to bring this guy in here, and then we're going to do an orbital change, and we're just going to hope and kind of guess. Let's see how we're doing on fuel. We're looking okay-ish. We've got hope and guess that we did it right. And, you know, this is kind of like rendezvous, only, you know, every time you want to rendezvous, it's a huge amount of fuel. Alright, so let's continue working on our orbital plane change. So, line this one up. This time is here. At what point does that become a solid line? It's all the way over here. Oh, coming up on it. Oop. Okay, let's go this way. So, let's see here. If we go this way, oops. Back is spin this way. It's getting closer. We gotta go this way more. Whoa, 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 now. Did we go too far? Of course we went too far. Well, I gotta do it anyway. And I gotta go towards up. Where's up at? Where's north? Let's see, this is 200, 120, it's up this way. There's north. Oop, missing it. I'm frustrated, guys. Making all these little tiny things, and I overshot it because it needs to be, well, how bad did we do? We didn't do too bad. This way, this is about perfect right here. Oop. Oh, perfect's out here. So we're a little bit off. Alright. I hate to use all this fuel just to move my rocket, but let's do it this way. And then we're going to move it right on the horizon, but north. And lock. And that's just going to move this line up. And so, come on. Come on, rocket. The rocket's too long. There we go. Alright, it's close enough. Alright, so this should, you can see my line's already moving up as right now. So this should move this line up, which should possibly give us some sort of intercept if we did halfway anything right. Oh, come on, go over to there we go.
How are we doing on fuel? We're burning it. This is a very expensive maneuver, and it's almost unavoidable. Um, Theoretically, it is avoidable, but the timing would just have to be impeccable. You'd have to have the point where the two orbital planes intercepted, and it'd just be ridiculous. It's a good time for some tea. What we're watching right now is this blue line here. How are we doing on orbit? So that's our last tank. This blue line basically leaning over. It's tilting over. And we're going to keep doing that until it tilts over onto the purple line, which means we'll have a very similar orbital plane. Still going. Like I said, it's a very expensive maneuver. And we're slightly off, so we're not going to get it perfect. So this one, they're both below. Well, I think that's as good as we're going to get for where we are in space. So we're actually on the ends. So I actually need to, let's turn the SAS off. Oops, turn my warp off. I need to slow down some more. Everything's counterintuitive. You think, well, I should, the other thing we can do, yeah, I think I'll do the slowdown. I think that's what I'll do. The other thing we can do is we can actually rotate, kind of push our orbit out, which is weird, and it's an action I'm not quite sure about. I talked about it in a video, but I'm not really sure about this action, and so I don't want to really do it. But basically, you'd fire either toward the sun, and it moves your orbit this way, or toward away from the sun and moves your orbit this. I'm not quite sure how that works, and I don't know either if I want to move it, which way I even want to move my orbit per se, and what effect that would have. So I don't. Well, basically, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but that's not the gist of it. But I'm going to use rendezvous lock fire, rendezvous type techniques to hopefully we'll see an intercept in a second here. Basically, we're pulling this guy in, and somewhere down the line we should see a flicker. If we're halfway close, we'll see a flicker, and it'll be like, hey, we have an option. Otherwise, we'll float in space without fuel forever. One of the two. Come on. Come on. Stop for a second. My fuel level. Whew. We also have to use that fuel to slow ourselves down to deburn, and that's another big issue. Come on. Come on. Bringing this para-apsis in right here. Oh, this is going to be so costly because we're actually pulling in opposite here. So this will never work. That will never work, will it? No, it won't ever work. Because it's going to be so costly. Oh, look how close we are, too. Look how close we are. You can't even see it. Let's see, it would be off the tail, pointing towards the tail. Actually, we're pointing towards opposite where we're going, so it's off the tail here somewhere. Oh, I can see it. I can see it. Oh my goodness, it is so close. And we won't make it. We literally will not make it. I mean, I could burn toward it, but even that wouldn't work. Oh, that's awful. Do you see this? That is the worst feeling in the world right here. Seeing it but never making it. I mean, literally. I mean, look. What can I do? I'm sure there's something I can do to Okay, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try burning. Let's see here. If I turn towards that, I'm gonna try burning toward the sun, which is down. Make sure we're Come on. Is that going to help me at all? Will you please, please give me an intercept course? Wow. Can't tell what it's doing to my orbit. I'm literally staring at pixels, seeing what is becoming of the pixels. Are those angles becoming more acute? Boom. How's my fuel? That's what I should have done this whole time. Look, I can see the angles becoming more acute. So we're cutting in on the planet. Oh, it's so costly though. You can see the seams kind of shrinking up. How are we doing on fuel? Oh, we're using so much fuel. Oh my goodness. It's crushing me. If I run out of fuel, I'm gonna run it anyway, just to see what happens. So close and I can't reach it. See, I can see the para-apsis moving up here. What are we doing here? Oops. Almost out of fuel. Oh, there it is. Oh, I'm so low on fuel. Will this work? Oh, see, so close. If you watch it zoom forward, we're going to be closer and closer to it. Actually, almost, let's see here what we got here. Oh. If I am so low on fuel that, oops, come on, that I think my best option, believe it or not, to do a better, to actually make it, is not to hit this and then counter burn, but to do a direct attack right now. By direct attack, I mean try to land, try to have an intercept course. And so let me look. How are we? We need to come north a bit as well. So we go down, and let's see, because it's mostly. Let me look how we're going to hit this thing. What I'm looking at is what it's going to look like on the orbital plane. There's no way I can select that, is it? You know, so if I look at it kind of edge on, I can see that we will be under it and then kind of curve above. And so I want to burn kind of northerly, kind of push myself up towards it a bit, as well as out. And I think, more correctly, I hope that with this last little bit of fuel that I have, that it will put me on an intercept course. I don't have to use any other fuel. I may have to, but hopefully I won't tag. All right. Oops, stop. I need to see what I'm doing here. Okay. I need to see what I'm doing is affecting this. And so this is actually good because I see this wrapping around. That tells me I'm getting closer to an intercept, which is very important, very good, very important. Because if, whoops, out of fuel. Okay. can trigger this. X. Okay, so we'll go ahead and look. We're not burning very efficiently. I can't tell what my para-apsis is. Okay, para-apsis. Still up. All right, I'm just gonna burn from. Whoa, 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 whoa. Do it from this. Okay, how am I doing on fuel? Used a lot more fuel than I want. I don't know if we're gonna make it out of this place alive. And by alive, I just mean just make it out and return home. Should have done it properly. Should have done the rendezvous. We should have done proper orbital mechanics. I know I've learned my lesson. At least we're gonna make it this time. Well, theoretically make it. All right. Bring that para-apsis in. 3. Come on, get rid of your scrub that speed. Okay, so that's an intercept. How much fuel did we use? Quite a bit. All right. But we should be able to go on in. Woo! Yeah, time warp was 1. Thank you. Go on in. Land on the planet. It looks like we might even hit land. That'll be nice. So that's pretty exciting. I'm nervous. I'm hoping my parachute system's going to work. They show activated. We've used over probably 2/3 of a tank of fuel. Go ahead and slow this down. Yeah, it looks like we're going to hopefully be over land. Let me look. What is our zoom 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 zoom? What does our orbital thing say? It looks like land, but it's going to cut in because we're going to hit the atmosphere. But we're going to do this at 1 warp so we don't rip our parachutes off. There's our strong decelerations. I'm going to turn the SAS off. There's our parachutes. So the parachutes did launch. That's good. Slowing down severely. Looks like it will definitely be over land, which is good. Let me put my landing gear down. Very important thing. Rocking back and forth, but man, we're slowing down good. We're way high up there. We're very, very high. So it looks good. Delicious tea. Calms the nerves. On a side note, on my hot teas that are real teas and not actually just Kool-Aid, I've actually been switching to Sleepy Time. It's mellower. It's also got a nice vanilla flavor with it, which is not the point. But I've got 1,500 meters, 16,000 meters to descend very slowly. So we've got a lot of time to talk. So, how are you guys? How you doing? How's life? The world treating you well? This also tells me, I'm going to pay attention to this, at about 25 kilometers is what we've got to blast out of, because that's where that thick atmosphere is. That's going to be the hardest part, is blasting out of that thick, thick, thick atmosphere. But it looks like we're going to have a landing. I don't think the sun is out. Where's the sun at? Yeah, the sun is over here. So we're going to have a dark landing. So we're not going to be able to see, shadows to let us know. But it's not going to matter because we'll have our parachutes. Hopefully it'll be nice and safe. We're very, 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 very slow. So we're 100 meters per second with just the drag of the ship itself. But that's that thick atmosphere, which makes me wonder. It's going to make me ponder here for a second what the best way to get out of the planet away is. If the best plan is to use, full thrust, get away from that real fast, or to use a slower thrust so that you get less drag. Probably a faster thrust is usually the best solution because you have to mix gravity in, and gravity adds, slows you down every second, and so you gotta, kind of propel yourself away. All right. Last 5,000 meters, we're going about 80 meters per second. Parachutes have not deployed yet. or open yet, I should say. Even though technically, now that I think of it, I know it's for gameplay that they don't open until, lower so that you can actually, it doesn't take you an hour and a half to descend, with a parachute on. But technically, with as thick as the atmosphere is, they should be like, full out and doing whatever. So I'm pretty excited. I saw the little purple dot, and I was like, oh, surely if I can see the planet, we can land on it. Whew. All right, let's look at the surface. The surface looks slightly hilly. There's a hill up here, but it doesn't look terribly hilly, so it should be a safe landing. We're getting lower. There's the parachutes. We're at 7 meters per second. That's excellent. That's basically what I was expecting. I was expecting, on Kerbin, it was about 10 meters per second, which was a survivable landing. That was without the landing gear. I was expecting a little more on Eve just because of the super thick atmosphere. It also kind of tells me a little bit about the atmosphere, that even though it's very thick and it hangs very low, it's fairly comparable to Kerbin's. So it's got a situation where for the first 2,000, or excuse me, the first 25 kilometers up, it's going to be very thick like Kerbin is at sea level, but after that it's going to open up quite a bit. So it's going to be like old school Kerbin atmosphere, where at 35 kilometers or below it was like hitting a brick wall, but above that there's no air. It's just like it just kind of hovered there. So that's kind of cool. I'm really nervous about this landing. Please do not fall over. Please do not fall over. Adney would really be happy if this didn't fall over. 6.8 meters per second landing. Safe landing. It is a safe landing, and the sun is about to rise, and it is a good day on Eve, and I'm super excited. Oh, I didn't think this was actually going to happen. I thought I totally messed it up. So, never say never. Wow. I'm going to take a pause for a second, wait for the sun to come up. Probably rejigger the, kind of wait a few days to get Earth, or I should say Kerbin and Eve in the right positions again. And we'll try to do just what we did before, only backward. Alright, see you in a second. Well, alas, I looked at the time, I looked at the clock, I counted up the seconds, and it turns out that we've got a full episode here, and if we return home, it'll be a very, very long episode. So, alas, I must bid you adieu from the lonely, lonely shores of Eve. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, when we hopefully get this guy home. Bye-bye.